Stand up right now if you can, and try to put one shoe on without holding on to anything. Did you wobble? Did you have to reach for the wall, the counter, the back of a chair? If you did, I need you to keep watching, because what just happened to your balance for that split? Second is actually a measurable, trackable number, and doctors now believe it might predict how many years you have left more accurately than almost anything else they check at your annual physical. Here's the number. Researchers pooled data from 9 major studies, over 34,000 older adults, and found that simply timing how fast someone walks, just a normal walk across a room, predicted life expectancy almost as well as a full medical exam covering blood pressure, heart disease, and hospitalization history combined. A walking speed of about 0.8 meters per second. That's a fairly relaxed, unhurried pace, lined up with the median life expectancy for a person's age and sex. Slower than that, and the risk curve starts bending the wrong way. That's not a scare tactic. That's what shows up when you follow real people for years and see what actually happened to them. And today I want to walk you through exactly why this happens. To your legs, specifically starting around 60, and more importantly, exactly what the research says you can do about it. Starting this week, not someday. Quick note before we go further. I'm not a doctor. I'm someone who spends hours reading the actual published research, so you don't have to, and everything in this video comes from peer-reviewed studies, not opinions, not guesses. Let's get into it. Tell me something in the comments before we continue. When you stand on one leg to put on your pants or your shoes, do you feel steady or do you need to lean on something? Be honest. I want to know where this audience actually stands. The first thing to understand is that this isn't really about getting older. It's about a specific measurable process happening inside your muscles called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is simply the medical term for age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. It doesn't start at 60. It starts in your 30s, quietly at a rate of about 3 to 5% of muscle mass per decade. Most people never notice because it's slow and because daily life doesn't demand much muscle in your 30s and 40s, but researchers at Tufts University found something that should get your attention. By the time most people reach their late 60s, they've already lost around 12% of their muscle mass. By 80, that number climbs to roughly 30%, and after 65, the rate of loss doesn't stay steady, it accelerates, roughly doubling compared to your 40s and 50s. Why does this matter so much for your legs specifically? Because your leg muscles, the quadriceps, the glutes, the calves, are the largest muscle groups in your body, and they're the ones responsible for catching you the instant your balance shifts. When those muscles weaken, your body loses its emergency brake. And that's exactly why researchers have found that people with significant muscle loss have more than 3 times the rate of disability and a noticeably higher rate of falls compared to people with preserved muscle mass at the same age. If that number surprised you, comment the word "didn't know" below, because this is exactly the gap in public knowledge this video is trying to close. The second thing that's happening, separately from muscle loss, is a decline in something called proprioception, your body's internal sense of where it is in space. Here's a simple way to understand it. Close your eyes right now and touch your nose with your finger. You can do that instantly without looking, because sensors in your joints and muscles constantly tell your brain exactly where your limbs are. As we age, those sensors become less sensitive, and the signal traveling from your legs to your brain gets slightly delayed and slightly less precise. Combine that with weaker leg muscles, and you get exactly the scenario that leads to falls. A small stumble that a younger body would correct automatically, but an older body reacts to just a fraction of a second too late. This is precisely why simple standing exercises work so well in the research, and why I'm going to walk you through the exact ones in a moment. The third piece, and this is genuinely one of the most encouraging parts of the research, is that this entire process is remarkably responsive to exercise. Even if you start later in life, a systematic review pulling together multiple clinical trials found that structured balance and strength exercises in older adults produced measurable improvements in leg strength, balance test scores, walking speed, and most importantly, a real reduction in the actual rate of falls. This wasn't marginal. One well-known 6-month trial on Tai Chi specifically found a 55% reduction in falls compared to a control group. Let that sink in. Not a 5% improvement. A 55% reduction from one modest low-impact practice, and it's not just Tai Chi. A specific simple exercise called the single leg stance, literally just standing on one leg near a countertop for support, has been shown in multiple studies to strengthen the stabilizing muscles in your ankle, knee, and hip, while simultaneously retraining that proprioception system we just talked about. It's free, it takes under 2 minutes a day, and you can do it while you brush your teeth. Type the number 3 in the comments if a fall or a near fall has ever genuinely scared you. I have a feeling a lot of you are about to type that. The fourth piece is one people almost always overlook. How much of this decline is driven not by age itself, but by inactivity. Research on step reduction in older adults found something striking. When healthy older adults were deliberately restricted to a low number of daily steps for a short period, even just 2 weeks. They experienced measurable declines in leg muscle strength almost immediately. The muscle didn't wait for a birthday to disappear. It disappeared the moment it stopped being used regularly. This is genuinely important because it means a significant portion of what we blame on getting older is actually the downstream effect of sitting more, walking less and avoiding stairs, not aging itself. The encouraging flip side, confirmed in the same body of research, is that resistance and strength-based movement, even light versions using body weight or light resistance bands, consistently rebuild strength in older adults at 60, at 70, and even at 80. Your muscles do not lose the ability to respond to training. They simply need the stimulus. So let's put this all together into something you can actually start today. First, once a day, practice the single leg stance near a sturdy countertop or the back of a chair. Stand on one leg for 20 to 30 seconds. Switch legs and work up gradually as your balance improves. Always have something nearby to hold if you need it. Second, add a short daily walk if you don't already have one, and focus on maintaining a steady, unhurried but purposeful pace rather than shuffling. Walking speed itself is something the research shows responds to consistent walking. Third, twice a week, add simple sit-to-stand repetitions from a chair, standing up and sitting back down slowly and with control 8 to 10 times. This single movement directly strengthens the exact leg muscles most, responsible for catching you during a stumble. Fourth, if you've had a fall or a near fall in the past year, or if standing on one leg felt genuinely difficult during this video, that's worth mentioning to your doctor. A short conversation now, possibly including a referral to a physical therapist for a personalized balance assessment, is one of the most effective things you can do, and it's a completely normal, common request at your age. None of this requires special equipment, a gym membership, or a single dollar spent. It requires about 5 minutes a day and consistency. If this video helped you understand something about your own body that you didn't know before, do me a favor and subscribe, because every week I go through real published research just like this and turn it into something practical you can actually use. No hype, no miracle fixes, just what the science actually shows. And if you want to go deeper on how blood sugar changes after 60 and what actually helps, I've got a full video on that right here. It's a great next watch. Let me know in the comments, are you going to try the single leg stance today? I read every single one. This video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your doctor before starting a new exercise routine, especially if you have a history of falls, dizziness, or balance conditions.